let's get into the dailies this morning. We're starting off with the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper is big on interest rates this morning, and there you have it, high interest rate. Manufacturers cut back on bank loans. Credit to sector records first quarterly decline in, get this, 2 years. But we have some more explainers. Manufacturers seeking other funding options. That's coming from the CPPE. High lending rates, outputs decline, discourage lending for investment. And businesses postpone investment decisions. It's quite a lot to chew on, but there you have it. It's just as simple as it is. If they're not able to get their loans from banks and they need funding, they'll obviously go somewhere. Where are they going? Well, CPP said other funding options, but you and I know some of those funding options that banks are considering. That the businesses or manufacturers are considering. So is this a wake-up call either for the CBN or the banks to ensure that we find a way around this interest rate conversation?
I am hoping that the CBN, actually is the CBN at the center of all of this. They have just some very short tool or limited tools to be able to stabilize the economy, and one of which is the interest rate. So with inflation not tapering, inflation is still going high, although it was marginal month on month in the last numbers that were released by the MBS. So it's the complexity of the Nigerian economy. On one hand, the proposal, the government, the fiscal authority is saying we had to do what we had to do because the economy was heading for a collapse. What they simply are saying is that where we're going is that we were spending money we didn't have, so we had to borrow to even spend. So we needed to take out monies from as many things as possible. Well, of course, some of the actions of the previous administration and some of the actions of this government also spur up the inflation number. So the only option left to the CBN is interest rate, and they keep increasing. So we're hoping that by February, maybe they will hold. They'll go dovish. They'll bring it down if possible, but I don't expect them to hike in any shape or form. But just that the headline inflation is going up. So what I'm saying with all of this, in the mix, the biggest hit has to do with the people and then the manufacturers, who this interest rate is totally unacceptable, is out of reach. You can't be borrowing money at 30-something%.
I think that the point is to really find a way around it.
Yes, you can't be borrowing money at 30-something%.
Interest, because you have, and that's why we have.
What do you want to do?
Coming up? It looked like the banking system was too heavy for a lot. There were too much bottlenecks, and fintechs came. Some of them started charging zero on, and people migrated. So there's an obvious problem, and we need to resolve it. Else, people will continue to.
So that's that real sector that needs all of the monies. That when they have the money to do business, it will affect the entire ecosystem of our GDP. They need this money, so I don't know what the government has to do. The interest rate has to come down one way or the other, so that these guys can borrow and do business. Perhaps that's why they have the credit card, the guarantee credit company that the government is setting up. I don't know how far-reaching that will be.
That's coming later in the year. The end of first quarter or thereabouts. So that's much later.
According to Mr. Oyedele, it says that about 1 trillion naira worth of inventory unsold is still in warehouses.
Of course.
So it's a very difficult situation.
And you see Donald Trump's picture on the front page of the Vanguard, and you mentioned that earlier. But Vanguard focuses on what awaits Nigeria as Trump mounts saddle.
That's a very big one. So he's going to be doing a lot of signing by 12 today. So let's see how it affects us.
With the Vanguard newspaper.
Okay, but just on that Vanguard news, before we leave it, Serap writes Trump seeks return of stolen assets. I think I totally agree with Serap. The politically exposed persons, the ones who are mischievous and are stealing and are thieves of our currencies and our monies, they put these monies in foreign banks. So the greatest thing Trump can do for us is not to threaten us about BRICS and all of these things he's been talking about. It's to help us get back this foreign money. Because now the government, we're looking for money as a government. We need money, all of it.
Yeah, so that's Trump funny, Jeffrey. So the greatest thing he can do for us, when his mantra is make America great again, not make Nigeria, make Africa great again. So it's protectionist, first of all.
Yeah, so, he has a protectionist.
It's a wake-up call to countries. Nobody's coming to save you at the end of the day. You have to push for it and save yourself.
My brother is our money. Just return it.
Yeah, so we absolutely get it, but I don't think we should go cap in hand. Please give us our money. It's our money. Give us.
Well, This Nigeria says Niger tanker explosion, 80 buried in mass grave. When I saw this story, it was quite heartbreaking. Very difficult to accept. 55 in critical condition as death toll rises to 86. Tinubu can, senators mourn, describe tragedy as unfortunate. Cardi, this story, I don't know, it's over and over again. I think one of the things that Africa has failed to do, this is not a Nigerian problem alone, Africa has failed to prioritize human life. I do not understand. There's the responsibility of government on one hand, there's the citizens' responsibility on the other hand. So we all have something to take and look around to be able to say, let's take responsibility for our lives. People cannot just be dying. When you see these trailers drive on the road, you ask yourself, who checked this trailer from where it left? Okay, let's say the person who missed it. The policemen who are checking, the ones who are collecting monies on the road, and the traffic officials who are doing same. They saw this trailer. All of us know that even if you're not a professional, sometimes you can see trailers and say, this one, something is wrong. Either the container is not well lashed on it or something. This is the end. This is the end result of such things, and it's quite sad. Our thoughts and our prayers are with the families, but it's really sad to continue to do these thoughts and prayers when it's avoidable.
Certainly, the president in his statement advised citizens to exercise caution, avoid approaching accident sites, especially those involving fuel-laden vehicles. And then he asked the National Orientation Agency to initiate a nationwide educational campaign. I think everybody knows that petrol, kerosene, they're flammable. I think everybody should know. So sometimes it's not a lack of knowledge. Maybe it's just that survival instinct, which again is sadly not an excuse. A lot of people see this and they think 1 liter is 970. If I'm able to scoop at least 5 liters, that is this amount. Sell it on the black market, I get money, but I don't think at that point that my life, which worth more, is at risk. So it's a really sad one, but we hope that we can step up our orientation, Jeffrey, certainly. But let's move on to the next daily, and we'll take the Guardian newspaper for you. The Guardian newspaper is what we have next, and it's quite interesting what the Guardian leads with this morning. Posers over checks balances as FG enforces council autonomy funding. So I like this to digest because it's been a long time coming, and we referenced that meeting the president had with governors saying that nobody wants to take local governments from you. So now we're seeing enforcement. What shape, what form will the enforcement look like? It doesn't quite say on the front page, so you have to get more details of that on the inside pages.
All right, well, let's see how that plays out. Well, we've seen some governors and some government turning this law on its head. The LG autonomy. Places like Edo State is arguing about the issue of fiscal autonomy as against political autonomy. And I don't know. I always say that things are absolutely simple until politics gets involved and it gets complicated in Nigeria. If somebody steals, the law is very clear now to approach the person, take the person to court, the person can be found guilty or not. But as soon as it involves politically exposed persons, we don't hear anything again. So for instance, I was thinking the other day, Yunus Ahari, the man who went to announce results of election in Adamawa. What has happened to that case? Betaidu, what has happened to that case? Farouk, what's her name again? Farouk, what has happened to that case? I could go on and on. Sometimes it looks like the media thing just goes on for a bit, and as soon as it dies down, we just hear it goes, just like that. So the council autonomy, the federal government has done its part. Well, the state governors, we're not sure of how they are approaching it. Some are approaching it the best way they can, but we hope and we pray that it works out, because that's the lowest level that reaches the people at the bottom. And now LG council chairman will now have to be responsible. We must say, however, that some states are really doing well as long as LG autonomy is concerned. There are some states, they don't bother about your money. Just do the thing you can do. But some, their eyes are there.
Certainly. And I think we should have some pictures on this front page, the governors, the pictures of the governors. Because we have Algon, the National Assembly, the President, Judiciary, and all. But we don't have the governors.
I don't know. Okay, okay, the governors. Yeah, I agree. We should have had Abdurrahman Abdulrazak somewhere here.
Well, we have two former governors, so maybe that will suffice.
No, they are taking a new role. They are taking.
So there you have it.
Totally new role.
Look at the front pages, and you can tell that some of these stories will form our conversation on the show. And we're starting off with an explainer of where we're headed with the taxes yet again. With the VAT, the governor saying, this is what we want. Is that what the agreement will be eventually? What does this thing even mean? Derivation, all of that.
Fiscalization, there are three words: attribution, derivation, fiscalization. All of them are in tango.
So we'll give you an explainer with someone who, of course, is in a position to properly walk us through, and that's in a few seconds.
Tell us again.